So, whoa, my money almost flew out of my pocket. How am I gonna take care of that? Laowinners, what do I do? What if I do this? Yeah, check this out. I just made like a... Actually, don't watch this. This is gross. Hey there, Laowinners. It's a beautiful day here in Huizhou. Unfortunately, it is over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So right now it's 38 degrees Celsius, but the real feel is closer to 118 degrees Fahrenheit, which is frickin' so nice. Actually, it's like, just takes the breath out of you, to be honest. It's kind of like getting kicked in the stomach with a hairdryer or something. It's pretty bad, except if the hairdryer was wicked wet. Anyway, I tried to film this episode with my wife. You know, we do those VS, like American culture versus Chinese culture type VS videos. Well, she wouldn't let me put her on camera for this one, and I'll explain why. Now, so many people, so many of you Laowinners have asked me how I met my wife. You thought I was gonna say how I met your mother, right? No, but they want to know how I met my wife and kind of how that went down, because we've been together so long. You guys have known her for quite a long time. Anyway, she wouldn't go on camera about this because she thinks this story makes her look like she was too easy or too open or something like that. Typical like Chinese perspective on it, when in fact she very, very much wasn't. Anyway, I met my wife, believe it or not, in a supermarket. Now, how did I go about that? Well, 2 weeks into China, I had gotten off the airplane and basically showed up and had been living in Huizhou for 2 weeks. And what happened was, oh, the freshmen are coming in to check out the school. I had been in Huizhou for 2 weeks, and what happened was I was just settling in. I didn't speak a lick of Chinese. I had no idea what I was doing. But at the school I was working at, we had these like English-speaking Chinese helpers, and they were pretty helpful, but you don't want to push them too far. I mean, like, I wanted to be pretty independent. Some of the teachers and stuff, they'll ask them to do everything, like, oh, call the doctor for me, oh, can you help me go shopping, do this and this and this, and they're usually happy to do so. Very nice. But I wanted to try, you know, at least have a semblance of independence, you know. So, whoa, my money almost flew out of my pocket. How am I going to take care of that? Laowinners, what do I do? What if I do this? Yeah, check this out. I just made like a... Actually, don't watch this. This is gross. This is oddly sexual. Anyway, I have one exposed leg now. Look at that. That's good. I get some sun. Anyway, I didn't want to rely on the Chinese teachers and stuff to help me out, so I was at the supermarket and I was actually looking for a toothbrush and a bunch of other stuff, but I was specifically looking for a toothbrush. And I was wandering around, and I didn't know how to say it, and there was no smartphones back then, so I'm just wandering around, and I'm near the fruit aisle, so it doesn't make any sense as to why I'd get a toothbrush there. So I'm about to leave, and I see this girl, and she like kind of glances over me, and I glanced over her, and I smiled. Just, you know, just being polite, normal. Apparently you don't really do that in China. And she said, hello. And I said hello back, and I was like, oh, you speak English? And she goes, yeah. And she actually replied in English, which is kind of crazy. So 2 weeks into this crazy, messed up adventure that I'm having, trying to fit into this random country on the other side of the world, and this girl can speak English. It's like a saving grace, right? So I start chatting to her, and we talked for a little while, and she said, I am a university student in Macau. And the little knowledge I had known about Macau at that point, I knew it was an ex-Portuguese colony, very, very, very wealthy. And if she's studying there, she's probably quite well off. Anyway, so I said, then what are you doing in Huizhou? And she said, actually, I was born here. My parents are here, but I've been in Macau for years now. And so I was like, oh, that sucks, you know. And at the end of the conversation, I actually said, I asked her for her phone number. I was like, if you're ever back, we should hang out. And lo and behold, this has never happened to me before. This is not bragging either way. It's just I think people are more relaxed back in America. But lo and behold, at the end, when I asked for her phone number, unlike the girls when I asked for their number in America, she actually refused. She was like, no, I don't know you. You're a stranger. Like, I'm not gonna give you my phone number. And I was like, what? I was like taken aback. I remember. I was like, what? So actually she refused me, so I continued to ask. I was persistent, and I said, well, do you have any way of getting in contact? And she goes, do you have Facebook? And I was like, yep. And back then, Facebook was not blocked. It was not blocked in China. So, long story short, I looked her up on Facebook. She gave me her name. I looked her up on Facebook, and it says that she is studying in Macau, but it says she's studying in Macau, Philippines. Think about that. So I was like, oh shit, wrong Macau. Like, the other Macau is only 3 hours away. Macau, Philippines, well, looks like I'm never gonna see her again, right? So I guess I kind of just scratched that off. I chalked that up to like, whoops, misunderstanding. She never said Macau, China. So I'm like, oh shit. And I saw some of her photos, they look kind of tropical and stuff. And I was like, oh shit. So she lives in the Philippines, so this sucks. Anyway, fast forward a week, and I go, I wanted to travel around China during Chinese New Year because we didn't have work. But unfortunately, I realized I'm just like showing off my leg. This is kind of embarrassing. I don't want to look at anyone in the face right now. Anyway, I realized that, God, I'm just naked. I feel naked right now. I realized that I couldn't get any plane tickets within China because everyone's moving around for the Chinese holiday, the Chinese New Year. And so what I ended up doing was getting a cheap ticket to Thailand. So randomly by myself, I ended up going to Thailand, and it was a pretty fun trip. Met some really cool people, and I ended up doing like a survival trip basically for 9 days, where we went up in the jungle near Burma, and we just lived off the land. So we were hopping around to people's houses in the jungle and riding elephants, and it was very untouristy. It was my goal. I actually met up with some guys that ended up finding a local person that ended up guiding us out there instead of joining some of these tours. Anyway, long story short, at the end of the trip, I was in Chiang Mai City, and I was looking at some of the temples in Thailand, and I ended up getting pickpocketed. And I had no idea. And actually, I had my credit card on me, and that was how I was getting all my money, because I hadn't gotten paid for my school yet. So I just had my money in my bank card, my credit card. It was a Visa debit and credit card, and it had been completely wiped out. And actually, I got a hold of the credit card company, and because I had let them use my card abroad, they thought it was fine. I ended up going to the cops, and they were like determined to find him, right? I never found him, but I ended up getting the charge revoked, which was awesome, but it was going to take ages before that actually went through. So I had to find some way to get money because I had nothing. I ended up meeting a Japanese guy that was like really cool, and he bought me some beers and some food, and he was like, dude, this sucks, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, long story short, I ended up staying in like a room that cost basically next to nothing. It was just a windowless scum hole with like a mattress that had really dodgy stains on it. And I used my last 25 baht to go to an internet cafe so I could get a hold of people to get some money over to me, right? Lo and behold, I'm sitting there waiting to get a hold of people on Skype, and on Facebook I noticed that Vivi, my future wife, was online. So I told her my whole situation, just thought it was kind of funny, you know? And guess what? I mean, like, I get to talking to her, and it turns out she does live in Macau. And she's like, oh shit, I gotta fix that on my Facebook. It says Philippines. And I was like, so this is a chance here, you know? So I started talking to her more, and I tell her my whole situation, and she goes, are you asking me for money? And I was like, no, I'm saying if I make it through this, if I survive this whole situation, then I would like to meet you next time you're in Huizhou. And she goes, I go back once every month or so to visit my family, so I think we could arrange that. And she agreed to date me. So I did survive the whole ordeal. This guy's trying to kill me or some shit. I survived the whole ordeal, and I ended up going to Huizhou, obviously going back to work, and she came, and we met each other. I was late to my first date by an hour, actually. It's kind of embarrassing. Different story. Anyway, fast forward 7 years, and we are married. So that was the first Chinese girl that I dated. that's how I met Vivi. And again, she's embarrassed to talk about it, I think, because like talking to a random stranger in a supermarket is kind of weird for a Chinese girl to do. It would be kind of frowned upon. So yeah, this is retarded. I'm just gonna go this way. Don't judge me. Anyway, that's how I met my wife, and we are happily married today still. The dating scene I'd like to get into at some point is a different video, is completely different now. I'd say with the majority of it happening online. Back then it wasn't, you know, if you say I'm gonna date someone online back in the day, it's kind of dodgy, you know what I mean? Anyway, long story short, that's what happened. And thank you so much, Laowinners, for staying tuned for this episode. And oh, I have a visitor. I recognize that motorcycle. Beard is here. Let's go say hi to him. I gotta put down my leg. Yeah, it is. What are you talking about? I gained a little bit. It's just the shirt. I was like, thought you'd say something witty when I walked in. Okay, Laowinners, apparently I'm a frickin' stick. See you later.